He was a legendary hitman who never failed a mission, but when he's mysteriously turned back into a kid, he needs to go undercover back to school in order to find the cure. The story begins as we meet the hitman named Juzo, who's told that his job will be easy, since there are only a few guards. He heads to a building, where he destroys the camera to make sure he isn't seen, but he finds a gang inside. One of them threatens Juzo with his gun, but he quickly grabs it and starts to shoot the rest of them. One of the men tries to get away with a briefcase, and Juzo sees him, but he's out of bullets, so he trips him instead. The man begs for his life, but he suddenly pulls out his gun and opens fire. He realizes Juzo is gone, but he suddenly reappears behind him and punches him away. After that, Juzo gives the briefcase to his partner Kota, and notes that there were 25 guards in the building, but he wonders why Kota told him there would only be a few. He apologizes to Juzo for screwing up, but he's impressed that Juzo still took care of everyone, and notes that it's what he should have expected from the legendary hitman. Kota manages to open the briefcase, but they wonder why it only has a wasp nest inside it. As Juzo enters his apartment building, a boy accidentally runs into him, and he's scared seeing the look on his face. Juzo thinks about how he's never been good at dealing with kids, and wonders if things might have been different with his family if he had been better at it. He has no idea what to say to his daughter, because his job is the only thing he's good at, but he doesn't even like it. He suddenly gets stung by a wasp, which makes him struggle and collapse, and as he wakes up, he sees his ex-wife Irie. She tells him he's in her lab, and makes him answer questions to make sure he still has his memories. She notes that his target worked with a firm that researched genetic manipulation in living organisms, and the wasp that stung him wasn't normal. She gives him a mirror, and he's shocked to see that he's been turned back into a boy, and he asks if there's any way for him to return to normal. But she explains that she isn't sure, because it isn't easy to analyze what happened to him. She tells him he should take a break from work, but he explains that he needs money to pay for his bills, and he suddenly gets a call from his boss. Juzo admits that something happened to him, but explains that he can still work, so the boss gives him his next job. He tells Juzo to attend a middle school, and explains that he needs Juzo to investigate it, since he's thinking of enrolling his daughter there. Irie thinks it's the perfect job for him, since he never went to middle school, and he explains that he isn't interested, but the boss tells him how much he'll be paid, so he changes his mind. As Juzo puts on his uniform, he doesn't understand why he needs to wear glasses, so Kota explains that it has hidden cameras and microphones, and thinks Juzo will need help, since he's a washed-up old man. Juzo goes to class and introduces himself, but everyone thinks he's a weirdo, and Kota tells him his introduction was terrible, so he thinks about something interesting he can tell his classmates, but accidentally mentions that he likes sniping. Everyone thinks he could end up in jail, so he explains that he was talking about airsoft, but they still find him strange. After class, there are two girls that run into Juzo, and they make fun of him since they think he's a loser, so Kota offers to take care of them, but Juzo tells him to leave them alone. As he returns home, Kota makes him dinner, since he knows that if Juzo is left alone, he'll eat nothing but garlic-loaded ramen. He tells Juzo that in addition to keeping his identity a secret, he needs to make sure he doesn't cause trouble, since his income will drop to zero if he's expelled. The next day, as Juzo attends a lecture, he thinks about how he was taken in by the organization when he was young, and immediately thrown into the field. He's now a 39-year-old man who has gone through a lot, so he thinks there's nothing left for him to learn. But as he pays attention to his teacher, he becomes excited, since he didn't know any of the things being taught. After class, he cries tears of joy, since he never knew studying could be so much fun, and Kota is surprised to see him studying at home. The next day after class, Juzo thinks about how much fun he had in social studies, since they talked about places that he's already seen. As he prepares to leave, he notices a man wearing a panda mask, who attacks the school's guard, and he starts to harass the girls who made fun of him. Kota tells him to leave them, but he can't just stay back and watch, since they're about the same age as his daughter. He throws a chalk box toward the man, and shoots it to make a smoke screen, so that no one will see what he's about to do. He punches the man in the stomach, but the man doesn't go down, so he realizes he got weaker after he turned into a kid. The man lights up a dynamite, so Juzo kicks him in the nuts, and knocks the dynamite out of his hand. He shoots it while it's in the air, and the girls Takata and Boba realize he's the one who saved them, but he acts like he didn't do anything. After that, Juzo's classmates make a group chat and decide to leave him out since he's an outcast, but Takata and Boba ask him to join and thank him for saving them. At night, Juzo can't believe how fast everyone is texting in the group chat, and he thinks middle school is brutal since he can't keep up with the messages, but he still feels better than when he was working as a hitman. Kota still can't believe Juzo likes to study, and he thinks Juzo is trying to broaden the kind of work he can do when he turns back, but he explains that he just enjoys it. Takata and Boba greet him, which makes him nervous, and he tries to put on a smile, but they find him creepy. After that, we see a girl named Norin, who impresses everyone as she wins a race against her classmates and speaks English fluently in class. We learn that Irie told Juzo to make contact with her, since she might have the information they need, but he doesn't think she would be useful. He notes that she's just the daughter of the president of the Mitsuka Pharmaceutical Company, but Irie reminds him they don't know anything about the situation, which is why they need to investigate every lead they find. Kota wonders why Juzo hasn't made any friends, so he explains that he's struggling to fit in, since he's much older than the other students. He decides to talk to Norin, but she finds him creepy and tells him to get lost. After he leaves his class, he thinks about how Norin told him he was creepy, and he's so sad that he collapses, but Takata and Boba suddenly run into him. He tells them what happened, so they reveal that Norin hates boys, but she seems to have everything a girl could ever ask for. They explain that boys have asked her out, but she turned them down without any consideration for how they feel, and even the girls don't hang out with her since she's difficult to approach. Kota asks Juzo what he plans to do about Norin, so he explains that there's nothing he can do since she doesn't talk to boys. He decides to give up on her and goes to a ramen shop, but he's surprised to see her working there. He gives her his order, but he doesn't understand what she's doing there since her family is so rich that she doesn't need to work. He tries to make sense of the situation, but he decides to eat his ramen first, and he finds it delicious, but she tells him to meet her behind the shop after it closes. She doesn't understand why he's there, because the shop is far from the school, so she didn't think any of her classmates would see her. He explains that he lives in that area, but she starts to panic and begs him to keep it a secret, so he promises not to tell anyone. He asks her why she walks home alone, and wonders why no one comes to pick her up since she's rich, so she explains that she hates getting fetched. He wonders why she's working there, so she tells him she knows how blessed she is, and notes that ever since she was little, her parents introduced her to men who would make good husbands for her. But she found it disgusting how they were so nice to her, even though they had just met her, and when she got to middle school, all the boys treated her the same way, which is the reason why she hates them. She wishes to own a ramen shop and live on her own strength, since she hates how her parents want her to just get married and become a housewife. She reveals that her uncle opened the ramen shop since he didn't want to be around rich people all the time, and whenever she was angry, he made her a bowl of ramen to cheer her up. She notes that Juzo reminds her of her uncle, which is why she feels comfortable talking to him, but he thinks it's because he's an old man. He tells her she should live her life the way she wants, since she isn't obliged to do what her parents tell her, and she becomes happy when he praises the ramen she served him. She notes that it doesn't mean he can act friendly with her while they're in school, and they go their separate ways, but a van suddenly pulls up and kidnaps her. Juzo runs after the car, but Kota tells him it's no use, because there's no way he can catch up to it. He climbs a tower, and Kota reminds him he only has a handgun in his bag, but he explains that he knows what he's doing. He takes out his pistol and aims at the van, and Kota thinks he won't hit it, but he aims higher and pulls the trigger. He fires a tracking bullet, which attaches to the van, and Kota can't believe he was able to hit it. The kidnappers assure Norin they won't do anything to her if she cooperates, but one of them touches her face, so their leader Tajima kicks him away and tells him to do his job properly. He asks her to tell them about the new drug her father's company is making, because their client told them she has the secret, but she has no idea what they're talking about. He tells her he went to her uncle's shop, but notes that the food there tasted like trash, and he threatens to destroy it if she doesn't tell him everything. She explains that her uncle has nothing to do with it, and she starts to cry, because she doesn't know what Tajima wants from her. Juzo comes to her rescue, and shoots Tajima in the head, since he can't forgive him for insulting her uncle's ramen. He puts a bag on her head before she can turn around, since he needs to protect his identity, and he notes that he has 2 pieces of advice for the kidnappers. His first advice is to respect the food someone makes for them, but they suddenly interrupt him, so he shoots them down. Kota realizes he's using non-lethal rubber rounds, and he explains that he won't kill anyone when he isn't on the job, but he hears more people approaching. He puts Norin on a cart, and one of the kidnappers sees them, but Juzo pushes the cart into him and kicks him from behind. The other kidnappers shoot at him, but he stops the bullets with the cart and shoots down everyone in his way. He manages to get Norin out of the building, but Tajima drives the van toward them, and Juzo realizes it's bulletproof. Kota thinks he's in trouble, but he pushes the cart forward and uses it to flip the van. As the van crashes, he decides to give his second piece of advice and notes that any man who can't treat a girl kindly is trash. Tajima gets knocked out, and Juzo puts Norin to sleep since he doesn't want her to see his face. He prepares to leave, but as he checks his belongings, he realizes he left his book in the building. Juzo struggles during math class, and he asks Kota to teach him, but Kota explains that he isn't good at math. Juzo calls Irie and asks her for help, but she tells him she has no time since she's already juggling job and housework, and she also needs to find a way to turn him back to normal. She suggests asking the teacher, but he doesn't want to do it, so she tells him to swallow his pride and hangs up on him. The next day, Juzo still doesn't understand the class, which makes him panic because he will have a hard time in the future if he doesn't figure it out. A student named Rio notices something's wrong with him, so he tells Rio everything, and Rio realizes he's having a hard time because his basics are weak. He recalls how he used to fool around when he was in elementary school, and Rio offers to teach him, so they start to study together. Juzo gets a perfect score on the math quiz, so he thanks Rio for his help and promises to buy him a drink. They head to a cafe, but Rio accidentally runs into a man who spills his coffee on his laptop, and he quickly apologizes. Juzo is impressed that while Rio was helping him, he still found time to study, so he thinks Rio must be working toward a huge goal. He reveals that he wants to be a doctor, and he asks Juzo to keep it a secret, but Juzo doesn't think it's something he should be hiding. He reveals that his mom passed away while he was little, and his grandmother took care of him after his father left to get milk, but her health has started to deteriorate, and he wants to help people like her. Juzo starts to cry, and notes that he's nothing compared to Rio, and he wonders if he's terrible with kids since he never treated them as individuals. The man that Rio ran into overhears them, but he calls Rio an idiot for wishing to be a doctor, and tells him to look at the data. Juzo becomes annoyed, and wonders if he should punch him, but Rio stops him, and the man also calls him an idiot, since he's having a hard time with his homework in middle school. The man thinks they should stop working hard, since they'll never amount to anything, so Rio becomes angry and tells him to stop talking. He thinks it's wrong to mock people who don't agree with him, and he refuses to let him discredit the work that his friend is putting in. The other people in the restaurant are also annoyed at him, and they tell him to mind his own business, so he runs out of the cafe. He's angry that they humiliated him in front of everyone, so he follows them after they leave, and plans to kick them into the river. Juzo sees him approaching, so he throws his compass to flip the cycle, and sends him flying into the river. The next day, Kota heads to Juzo's house, and he can't believe how dirty it is, so he cleans it for him. He tells Juzo he should clean his house every once in a while, but he mentions that it isn't something a man should do, so Kota tells him he needs to change his values. As Juzo goes to school, he sees the students trying to get others to join their clubs, and Kota asks him which club he plans to join. A baseball comes toward him, so he throws it back, but it destroys the catcher's glove, and he realizes he should stay away from athletic clubs, since he doesn't want to stand out. Rio notes that he's thinking about joining the kendo group, since he has experience in it, and he plans to balance it out with studying. Juzo notices that there's a home economics club as well, and he thinks it must be filled with girls, but Rio's sister Chisato refuses to let him make such a comment. She tells him to stop differentiating between men and women, since everyone should know how to take care of themselves, and notes that he should understand the value of everyday tasks. She invites him to join the trial club session, and notes that if he refuses to come, she won't allow Rio to be friends with him. He goes to the home economics club room, where Chisato mentions that they'll cook rice balls and miso soup. She tells Juzo that if he gets bored, she will take care of his day-to-day needs for the next 6 months, but if he enjoys himself, he will need to join the club. After he finishes cooking, he tells her the experience was okay, and notes that they should call it a draw since he didn't get bored, but she tells him the contest isn't over. As he goes back home, Kota thinks Juzo is being petty, but he explains that the experience wasn't enough to make him want to join the club. At night, he gets a call from Irie, since he sent her the food he made, and his daughter Kozu tells him that she liked it. He recalls how Chisato told him he should give the food to the people who were close to him, because even though cooking for himself is fun, it's nothing compared to cooking for the people he loves. The next day, Juzo joins the club, and realizes that Norin joined it as well, so she explains that she wants to learn how she can help more at the ramen shop, but tells him to stop acting chummy with her. Kota suddenly gets a notification, and he tells Juzo he has found a way to turn him back to normal, but tells him he will need to marry Norin. Kota explains that the Mitsuka Pharmaceutical Company has posted an announcement that the person who marries her will inherit their company, and he doesn't know what they're after. But he reminds Juzo about the secret the kidnappers wanted to learn about, and notes that he will need to marry Norin to learn about the wasp that stung him. Juzo heads to the ramen shop, since he feels like he can forget everything while he eats there, and he thanks the owner for the food. As he prepares to leave, he tells Norin he has heard how even more people are coming onto her, but he assures her he's there just for the ramen. As he walks her home, she tells him about what her father did, but she's annoyed since he isn't listening to her. He assures her he's paying attention, which makes her laugh, since it's the kind of pointless back and forth she wants to have with friends, and she thinks she might be able to find friends in the school club. Norin and Juzo run from the students in school, but he doesn't know what's going on, so she explains that the club activity she was looking forward to got wrecked, and it made her release all of her pent-up emotions. She knows she messed up, but she asks him to pretend to be her boyfriend, because it will keep the other boys from coming after her. The students start to bully Juzo, and they tell him to either become their errand boy or break up with Norin. He knows he can easily beat them up, but he doesn't want to be suspended or expelled, so he runs away and jumps off the 3rd floor. He hears everyone gossip about his relationship with Norin, so Takata and Boba ask him if he's really dating her, and they praise him for getting away from the bullies. They mention that their school is famous, and there's a group of guys called the Unicorn, which is filled with charismatic men. But they're all after Norin as well, so Juzo needs to be careful of them. At night, Kota tells Juzo he should stop being Norin's fake boyfriend, since he has no plan to marry her. He reveals that the underworld is also after the Mitsuka Pharmaceuticals secret, and since they can't get the information through threats, they're sending undercover agents to the middle school to try and get Norin to marry them. The next day, Norin tells Juzo he doesn't need to pretend to be her boyfriend, since she knows it has been causing him trouble, and she thinks she should handle everything herself. She plans to stop going to the home economics club, and tells him to keep coming to the ramen shop, so that she will have someone to talk to. They're interrupted by a student, but Norin mentions that Juzo isn't her boyfriend anymore, so they should stop bothering him. He notes that if it's really true, she should go out with him instead, since he's strong enough to protect her, but she turns him down. He continues to bother her, but Juzo can't just stand back and watch, so he notes that he and Norin are still together, and tells the boy to get his hands off his woman. He warns Juzo that he spars with adults at the gym, and he tries to punch him, but Juzo easily blocks it and tells him he still needs more training. We see a boy named Shin, who watches them from a distance, and notes that Juzo is tougher than he looks. In a flashback, we see Shin in a dark alley, where a man tries to shoot him, but he dodges the bullets and smashes the man into a wall. A person from the organization praises Shin, calling him a once-in-a-generation talent, and he gives Shin his next mission, where he needs to infiltrate Norin's middle school and get her to marry him. In the present, Norin asks Juzo if he's secretly strong, but he assures her he's never even been in a fight. She doesn't believe him, since the boy he's scared off looked pretty tough, so he tells her it was just a fluke. She decides to stop bothering him about keeping secrets from her, since they're just pretending to be a couple. But she reveals that her father gave her a pen, and told her to give it to Juzo, but she doesn't understand why he would do that. After that, Shin transfers to Juzo's class, but Juzo immediately realizes he's from the organization, and everyone's amazed by how handsome he is. The teacher tells him to introduce himself, but he becomes nervous, and he can't say anything. He sits beside Norin, and she tries to talk to him, but he puts his head down, since he can't handle how cute she is. He knows there's no way he can talk to such a beautiful girl, but he needs to do his job, so he gives her a letter, which mentions that he likes her, and he'll wait for her in the courtyard after school. Norin asks Juzo to come with her, but Shin overhears them, and explains that things will get complicated if she brings Juzo. She can sense that something's different about Shin, so she turns around, but she's shocked to see that he has a pacifier. He apologizes for freaking her out and notes that he has extreme stage fright, but he can be normal if he acts like a baby. She can't believe he's saying such nonsense with a straight face, and Juzo knows that the organization is filled with weirdos, but he thinks Shin is too far gone. Norin tells Shin that Juzo is her boyfriend, but he holds her hands and asks her to give him a chance to win her over. As she looks closely at him, she realizes he's extremely handsome, but she can't get over the fact that he's using a pacifier. She thinks there are a lot of ways to turn him down, but she ends up punching him in the face since she knows that he's been ordered to come after her. She explains that by confessing to her as a joke, he's making fun of the other boys who asked her out, so she thinks he deserves to get hit. He's surprised by how straightforward she is, which makes him fall in love with her for real, and he assures her he's being serious. He suddenly kicks Juzo, and he knows that Juzo is also in the organization. He challenges Juzo to a duel, and notes that the winner will get Norin, but Juzo refuses to hand her over. Shin notes that the fountain pen Juzo has as proof of who the real fiancé is, and they realize her father has posted new guidelines, which mention that whoever has the pen in the end will be her fiancé. Norin hates the idea that people will need to fight over her, and she mentions that Juzo is just pretending to be her boyfriend, since she had no plans to date anyone. As the duel is about to begin, Shin notes that his goal is to make Juzo put a pacifier in his mouth within an hour, which makes Takata and Boba burst out laughing, while Juzo and Norin can't believe how dumb his goal is. Shin once again confesses his love to Norin, and notes that if he wins, he wants to use her lap as a pillow, but she tells him that will never happen. As the fight begins, Shin charges at Juzo, who dodges his attacks, but he's surprised by how skilled Shin is. He runs away, but Kota thinks it will be difficult to do that while hiding his identity, so Juzo decides to dodge the attacks in the most pathetic way possible. Shin notes that when Norin turned him down, he wondered what the difference was between him and Juzo, and he realized that one of them is a baby, while the other one isn't, but Juzo has no idea what he's talking about. He thinks that if he puts the pacifier in Juzo's mouth, both of them will become babies, and he'll become superior to Juzo. As Shin continues to attack him, he wonders if Juzo's feelings for Norin are greater than his, which makes Juzo think about how he doesn't have any feelings for her, but he suddenly remembers Kozu. As the time for the duel is about to end, Shin throws a pacifier at Juzo, and he dodges it, but Shin suddenly pulls a string, which launches countless pacifiers toward him. He jumps to dodge them, but Shin ties his hands up, and he steps on a rake, which has a pacifier attached to its handle. The handle comes toward his mouth, so everyone thinks it's all over for him, but it suddenly stops, and Shin realizes Juzo put a string in front of him when he jumped back earlier. Juzo wins the duel, and tells Shin he also has feelings for Norin, but they're completely different than Shin's. He thinks about how he's been projecting Kozu onto Norin, and since he couldn't do much for Kozu, he wants to protect Norin and make sure she's happy. We see Juzo in his class, as his teacher announces that they will have midterms next week, so they must do their best to prepare for the exam. His friends are nervous since it's their first exam in middle school, but Ryo notices that Juzo is fired up, because he's determined to do well. Kota tells him he'll blow his cover if he doesn't relax, so he calms down and pretends that he's also nervous. The next day, Takata and Boba notice that Norin is happy since the boys are too busy to pursue her, and she hopes the test week will last forever. Takata bumps into Juzo, and they realize he looks like a mess since he pulled an all-nighter to study for the exam. Ryo tells him he needs to sleep, but he explains that he couldn't stop himself from studying and didn't realize he studied all night until he saw the sun rise. After class, Juzo studies again, and Kota tells him he's overdoing it, but he tells Kota to mind his own business. He notes that he has plans tonight, so Juzo should eat at Jabami's place, and tells him to consider it a change of pace. That evening, Norin sees Juzo walking in the streets, and she decides to follow him, but she sees him talk to a crossdresser named Gakota, who welcomes him into a strange bar. She can't believe what she's seeing, and wonders what he's doing there, but we learn that it's just the bar of a woman named Jabami, and he's just there to eat dinner. Jabami recalls that she didn't recognize Juzo at first, but Kota revealed that he's the legendary Hitman, and Jabami couldn't believe he turned into a kid. Irie suddenly joins them, and wonders why Juzo has eye bags, but he tells her she isn't supposed to drink there since she needs to take care of Kozu. She explains that their daughter is already old enough to take care of herself, and she understands why he's been studying hard, since he wasn't allowed to fail as a hitman. But she notes that it's okay to screw up as a middle schooler, and tells him he's been looking more alive ever since he turned into a kid. After that, Juzo walks Irie to the station, but Norin sees them leave, and she wonders why he came out with an older woman. The students have their midterm exams, and Juzo ends up with average scores, but he thinks it's okay since he can do better in the finals. Most of his friends also perform well, but Shin is sad since he got 0 in all of the subjects, and Norin wonders if Juzo isn't really a middle schooler, since he behaves like an old man. Chisato teaches the members of the Home Economics Club how to sew on a button, and Juzo gives it a try, but he can't get it right. Norin reveals that she also screwed up, so they ask their seniors to help them, and they finally learn how to do it. Juzo and Norin meet a boy named Kito, who waters the sunflowers he planted, and Norin is excited to watch them bloom. Juzo wonders why she's in a good mood, so she explains that she likes the Home Economics Club, since it helps them learn useful skills. The following day, Chisato tells her club members they need to make rice balls for the baseball team, but a girl explains that their delivery is for the senior league team. She notes that there's a unicorn on the team, and Chisato realizes they might run into a problem, so she tells Juzo and Norin they can skip the activity, but they decide to go through with it. The club heads to the baseball field, where the players gather to enjoy the rice balls, but Juzo notices a tall boy named Tendo, who thanks the Home Economics Club for the food. He recognizes Juzo and Norin, and challenges Juzo to a duel, telling him the winner will become Norin's boyfriend. She tells Tendo she doesn't even know him, but he explains that he isn't into her, and notes that he just wants to crush Juzo. He explains that he wants everyone to watch him, and reveals that his dream is to become the first triple-threat sportsman in history, but Juzo has no idea what he's talking about. Kota looks him up, and realizes he's an ace in baseball, soccer, and basketball, and he tells everyone he wants to become the best player in all 3 sports. He tells Juzo he doesn't really care about him, since he's just an extra from the Home Economics Club, which is full of losers. Tendo just wants to defeat him since he looks annoying, and he accepts the challenge, because he wants to make him pay for mocking his club. Tendo tells him they'll compete in futsal, and tells him he can bring as many people as he needs, but he explains that he doesn't need the handicap, and Tendo thinks it won't be a fair fight if he only brings one person. The coach of the baseball team apologizes for Tendo's rudeness, but his friends explain that they respect him despite his bad attitude, since he's the best player on their team. After that, the members of the Home Economics Club want to make Tendo pay for disrespecting them, and Norin is embarrassed since he made her sound like a self-important girl. Shin decides to participate in the match because he wants to punish Tendo for what he did to her, and Kito also wants to play, since Tendo mocked everyone in their club. That evening, we see Tendo playing with his friend, who wonders why he picked a fight with Juzo, and we learn that he finds him interesting, since he saw his fight with Shin. His friend notes that he'll only do the bare minimum during the futsal match, but Tendo notes that he doesn't expect much from him, so he becomes angry and kicks the ball hard. But Tendo still easily catches it, and tells his friend it was a good pass. Everyone prepares for the futsal match, and Juzo tells Tendo to apologize to the Home Economics Club if he loses, but he thinks it will never happen, since he's confident that he'll win. The game begins, and Kito realizes Juzo is open, so he passes the ball to him, but Tendo instantly goes to intercept. Kito can't believe it, since he was at the opposite side of the court, and he goes straight for the goal, but ends up hitting the bar. The goal crashes to the ground, and everyone's amazed that he knocked it over, but Juzo catches the ball and prepares to take a shot. Kota tells him to be careful, since he might blow his cover with his kick, but he doesn't care, and he goes all out. Tendo tries to catch it, but it won't stop spinning, and it flies out of bounds. Everyone's impressed by Juzo's kick, but he notices that Shin is shaking because he lost his pacifier. They think it was knocked out when he tried to block Tendo's shot, and Juzo realizes they're in trouble because he's useless without his pacifier. He notes that he has a spare in the classroom, so the girls decide to go and get it, and Juzo tells him to stand at the goal until they return. The girls manage to find the pacifier, and as they run back, one of them, named Shino, reveals that she asked Shin why he always has it. He explained that it helps him calm down, since it reminds him of his mother, who has already passed away, and he revealed that it's the only thing he remembers about her. The girls return to the court, but they realize he's all beat up, and Chisato reveals that he caught Tendo's killer shots. Norin gives Shin his pacifier, and Tendo takes another shot, but Shin suddenly catches the ball. Everyone can't believe he was able to stop it, and his teammates realize he's back, so they go on the offensive. Tendo steals the ball from Juzo, and outplays Kito, but Juzo suddenly catches up to him. His friend Rohei realizes Juzo is causing trouble for them, and he kicks the ball out of bounds. He explains that he's fired up, since he hasn't played sports in a long time, and he notes that he finds it exciting. In a flashback from the previous day, Rohei wonders why Tendo picked on Juzo, and thinks it's because he's looking for a rival. But he explains that he just likes destroying people, and notes that he won't hold back during the game. He notes that he wants to be a legend in his 3 favorite sports, so that nobody can deny his skills, but he admits that he's frustrated, since he can't find a toy he can play with at full strength. Back in the present, Tendo kicks the ball into the air, and notes that it's time to get serious. Rohei knows he tries not to overwhelm his opponents, since he doesn't want them to give up, so he limits the kind of plays that he uses. But he has decided to go all out, since he has finally found a worthy opponent. Kito runs toward him to steal the ball, but Tendo overpowers him, and charges past Shin, who's amazed by how fast he's moving. He outplays Juzo and scores a goal, so the spectators cheer for him, and the first half ends with his team in the lead. Juzo asks his teammates to let him play against Tendo, and reveals that he doesn't have a plan, but he thinks he can take him on. He rushes toward Tendo, who struggles to get past him, and everyone's amazed that he's keeping up. Norin realizes he's having fun, and we learn that he hated losing when he was a kid, so he took every game seriously. But he mellowed down after he became a hitman, and his life became boring since he just focused on his missions. Tendo admits that he's also having fun, and the girls cheer for Juzo as he continues to pursue Tendo, while Shin realizes he's using his hitman training to match Tendo's rhythm. The ball launches into the air, and they both rush to get it, but they end up kicking it at the same time. Tendo is determined to win the clash, but Juzo tells him not to look down on the Home Economics Club, and he manages to overpower him. He scores a point, and the crowd goes wild, but Tendo suddenly freezes as the game continues. He decides to give up, because he hurt his leg in the clash, and he explains that if he keeps playing, it may affect his performance in his other sports. The crowd isn't happy with his decision, and he asks Rohei if he can lean on him, since he's having a hard time walking. Chisato patches him up, but he wonders why she's doing it, since he's supposed to be her enemy, so she explains that the people in her club just help people who are in trouble. She praises him for putting his favorite sports first, even though everyone booed him, and her friends give him crutches. He apologizes for making fun of them, telling them the rice balls they made were delicious, and Rohei is glad he's being honest with them. After that, Juzo heads to the Home Economics Club, but his friends wonder why he has so much equipment on, so he reveals that all the clubs tried to recruit him after the game. He wonders what he should do, since everyone knows how skilled he is, but Tendo suddenly appears, and they wonder if he's there to join their club. He explains that he's just there for Chisato, and asks her to go out with him, since he has fallen in love with her. He notes that she helped him understand that he knows nothing outside of sports, and he wants to be with her forever, but she doesn't know how to respond to him. Rio wants to beat him up, since he doesn't want anyone to hit on his sister, so Juzo realizes he has a sister complex. After that, Juzo tells Tendo he can't focus on his school life, since all the sports clubs want to recruit him, but Tendo thinks he's hiding something from everyone. He notes that the truth will eventually come out, and Juzo thinks he's right, but notes that he wants to enjoy his peaceful school life for as long as he can. Juzo trains with Kota, who opens fire at him, so he runs away, but ends up activating an arrow trap. He catches the arrow before it can reach him, and Kota chases after him, but Juzo suddenly gets to him and tells him it's over. After that, Juzo notes that he's weaker in his current form, but he still has his experience and knowledge as a hitman. Kota tells him to be careful, since the kids in the Home Economics Club already think he's sus, and Kota reminds him he can't complete his mission if he blows his cover. The next day, Chisato asks Norin and Juzo to go on a double date with her, and reveals that Tendo kept pestering her, so she decided to go out with him to make him stop. She explains that she only agreed to do it if it's a double date, but everyone thinks she's ridiculous, since she could have just shot him down. We see Chisato as she meets Norin for their double date, and Tendo joins them, but Chisato asks him why he's wearing his usual training gear. Juzo apologizes for being late, and the girls wonder why he's dressed like an old man, but he thinks there's nothing wrong with his outfit. Norin wants to have ramen, but Tendo explains that he can't eat it, since it doesn't fit his diet. Juzo suggests eating at a coffee house instead, and after their meal, they head to a clothing store, where Chisato helps Tendo buy a new shirt. They prepare to watch a movie, and Chisato can't believe she's actually having a good time, but Norin continues to observe Juzo, and thinks he doesn't behave like a middle schooler. As they watch the movie, Juzo suddenly starts to feel strange, and he passes out. He wakes up and realizes he's back to his old self, but he knows his friends will freak out when they see him, so he quickly sneaks off. He recalls everything he did in his kid form, and thinks he shouldn't be there, since a grown-up isn't supposed to go on a double date with middle schoolers. He hears Tendo looking for him, so he hides in the toilet, and tells Kota about the situation. He asks for advice, so Kota tells him to use his voice changer to talk to Tendo, and teaches him how to use it. Tendo asks him what's wrong with him, so he explains that he has diarrhea, and tells them to go home without him. Tendo notes that he'll talk to the girls, but they suddenly hear Chisato screaming, and she reveals that Norin has just been kidnapped. Juzo doesn't want anything to happen to her, so he runs to save her, and tells Tendo to hug Chisato as hard as he can, so she becomes flustered. Juzo runs past them, and asks them what the kidnappers looked like, so she explains that they were wearing black hoodies. He sees them taking Norin to a van, so he takes a man's motorcycle, and gives him his number as he promises to pay for it. He chases the van, but gets stuck in traffic, and Kota asks him why he didn't just walk out of the bathroom as a stranger. He wonders why he didn't think of it, so Kota realizes he isn't as clever as he used to be, and wonders if it's because of his time as a kid. We return to Chisato, as she tells Tendo to stop hugging her, and notes that they should help Juzo save Norin. Tendo thinks Juzo can handle everything, and tells her she's the only one who matters to him, so she reminds him of how she taught him to help people in trouble. She tells him she can't like him with his current attitude, so he apologizes for being selfish, and admits that he lacks emotional intelligence. But he promises to do his best for her, so that he won't make her cry. He tells her to stay there and call the police, while he calls Juzo to ask him where he is, and she notes that she wants to go with them, but Tendo tells her she'll only get in the way. Juzo reaches a stadium, but realizes he's back to being a kid, and Tendo apologizes for making him wait. They look for Norin, and realize the kidnappers are with her, but Juzo thinks he shouldn't have brought Tendo with him, since they're from a famous Hitman organization called Jarden. Kota notes that they're both black rank assassins, the highest level in Jarden, and he notes that the small boy is Kazuma, while the big one is Eiji, but Juzo can't believe they're both middle schoolers. He suddenly receives a call, and he realizes it's from Kazuma, who reveals that he plans to use hypnosis on Norin, so that she will fall in love with Eiji. He reveals that Eiji is his brother, but Juzo wonders why he behaves like a zombie, so Kazuma explains that he doesn't talk much, but notes that it won't matter once Norin falls in love with him. He promises to hypnotize Chisato for Tendo if he walks away, but he turns down the offer, because he wants to win her heart fair and square. Kazuma realizes he can't negotiate with him, so he notes that it's time for war, and Eiji launches explosive golf balls at Juzo and Tendo, so they quickly run back. They split up and look for cover, so Kazuma decides to pursue them, and tells Eiji to snipe them if he sees them. Kota tells Juzo he sent a drone with weapons, and he sees it approaching, but Kazuma suddenly shoots it down. A pistol drops behind Juzo, but he knows Kazuma will shoot him before he can reach it, and he knows that Juzo is also a hitman, but he's disappointed since their fight is already over. Juzo throws a stand, which clangs as it hits the ground, and Eiji shoots it as he hears the noise. The explosion sends the pistol flying into Juzo's hand, and he notes that Norin is like a daughter to him, so he won't let anyone hypnotize her to steal her heart. He opens fire, so Kazuma runs and takes cover, but he knows he can't beat Juzo in a gunfight, so he decides to use his secret weapon. Juzo takes the magazine dropped by the drone, and realizes he now has enough bullets, but a guard suddenly appears behind him, and tells him to evacuate. Kazuma prepares to shoot him, so he tells Kazuma not to get a civilian involved, but he explains that he doesn't care. Kota realizes the bullets will hit the guard if Juzo dodges them, but he immediately takes aim and shoots them down in midair. Kazuma is amazed by his accuracy, and thinks there's only one person in the world that can do what he did, so he thinks Juzo must be the legendary Hitman. but he explains that it isn't the case, and claims that he's the legendary Hitman's love child. He notes that his father left him after he found a new woman, so he trained to make a name for himself, and plans to get revenge on his father for abandoning him. Kota thinks his story is ridiculous, but Kazuma believes him, and realizes they have something in common, since he and Eiji also have a tragic backstory. We learn that he used to be a kid who loved magic tricks, while his brother was passionate about sports, but something tragic happened and changed their lives. He explains that he can't afford to lose, since he wants Eiji to end up with Norin, and he suddenly pulls out his lighter, as he reveals that it's his secret weapon. The guard suddenly attacks Juzo, who realizes he appeared at the perfect time, since he was already under Kazuma's control. Juzo knocks him out, but Kazuma reveals that the guard wasn't the only one he hypnotized, and notes that he has already finished his preparations. Juzo realizes everyone in the area has been hypnotized, so he calls Tendo and tells him to stay away from civilians, but it doesn't bother him at all. He explains that he already knew he might die, but he decides to stay and fight, since he thinks he can't become an elite athlete if he can't even put his life on the line. He kicks a ball toward Eiji, who manages to block it, and he challenges Eiji to a match. They prepare to clash, but they realize Norin might get hurt, so Tendo allows Eiji to carry her away. Eiji launches his explosives, but Tendo destroys them with his soccer balls, and the explosions cover the area with smoke. Tendo hears Eiji hit another ball, and it lands behind him, so he jumps away to dodge the explosion, and realizes Eiji hit it with backspin. He kicks his balls toward Eiji, who easily destroys them, and starts to overwhelm him with his explosives. He runs away to dodge them, and attacks Eiji from the side, but he blocks the balls, and realizes Tendo is a worthy opponent. We see Juzo as he runs away from the civilians, but he gets surrounded, so he jumps down the stairs. He sees firefighters outside, but realizes they're all under Kazuma's control, and they attack him with their water cannons, so he uses his pistol to disarm them. He easily knocks them out, but sees a group of civilians approaching, so he uses one of the water cannons to blast them away. Chisato suddenly appears behind him, and asks him about his pistol, so he explains that it's just an airsoft gun. She explains that she went there since she was worried, but she suddenly pulls out Kazuma's lighter, and uses it to hypnotize him, so that he can't attack the brothers. She reveals that he's actually Kazuma in disguise, and Kota realizes Juzo fell for his trick, since he has become attached to his classmates. He can't shoot Kazuma because of his hypnosis, but he fires 3 bullets toward the sky, and explains that he did it to test if the gun is jammed. He shoots the fire hose to distract Kazuma, who realizes Juzo used the chance to hide, but he thinks it doesn't matter, since he already knows his weakness. He takes a man hostage, and threatens to kill him if Juzo doesn't show himself, so he comes out of hiding, and throws his pistol away. Kazuma strips it and asks him if he has any last words, but he just tells Kazuma to remove his disguise. Kazuma gives him what he wants, and he notes that he's satisfied, since he didn't want to smash Chisato in the face. One of his stray bullets hits the ground, and he reveals that he messed around during his training days, so he knows how to do a trick shot, but his accuracy isn't perfect. He reveals that he was aiming for the stretcher, but he knew his first bullet wouldn't hit it, so he decided to fire 2 more. He adds that he placed a detonator at the foot of the stretcher, and he suddenly clenches his fist, as he tells Kazuma he'll beat him up. One of his bullets hits the stretcher, and it activates the detonator, which triggers an explosion that sends Kazuma flying, and he smashes into Juzo's fist. Juzo takes his pistol, and Kazuma realizes his skills are on another level, but tells him it's too late, since he has already hypnotized Norin. He notes that she'll fall in love with the first person she sees, so Juzo runs back to the stadium, and hopes he isn't too late. We return to Tendo, as he calls for a timeout, and gives Eiji an energy drink. He notes that he doesn't want to fight Eiji, since he respects his skills as an athlete, and Eiji takes out his notebook, where he writes that he doesn't want to kill Tendo. But he explains that he needs to complete his mission for his brother, who is the most important person in his life. Tendo realizes he isn't a bad person, but notes that he can't lose, and they prepare to continue their fight. Juzo suddenly interrupts them, and he reveals that he took Kazuma out, but Eiji thinks he killed him, so he goes berserk. He launches a barrage of golf balls, so Juzo and Tendo run to avoid them, and Tendo realizes he's shooting everywhere, so he needs to change his tactics. He tells Juzo to distract Eiji, and notes that he'll defeat him with a killer shot, so Juzo decides to go with his plan. He calls out to Eiji, who attacks him with his explosive balls, but he dodges all of them and realizes Tendo is in position. In a flashback, we see Tendo with Rohei, as he tells him about the Eurospin, a soccer move that makes the ball fly like a bullet. Rohei thinks it's impossible to pull off, but Tendo gives it a try, and his ball starts to spin with ridiculous speed. He kicks it toward the wall, which breaks because of the impact, and Rohei can't believe he destroyed the concrete. Back in the present, Tendo uses his Eurospin shot, and Eiji launches a golf ball to stop it, but it doesn't work, and he realizes it's about to reach him. He catches it with his hands, but it immediately overpowers him, and it smashes into his body. He gets knocked out, and Kota can't believe it, since Tendo just defeated a Jarden hitman. But he asks Juzo about the kidnappers, and Kota thinks they're screwed, since they can no longer hide the truth from him. As Norin wakes up, she sees Juzo, so she immediately falls in love with him. She reveals that she remembers everything, so she thanks him for saving her, but he doesn't want her to have feelings for him, since she's like a daughter to him. She tells him her heart is racing, and prepares to confess her feelings, but he suddenly knocks her out. Tendo wonders why he would do that, but Kazuma suddenly arrives, and Tendo asks him why he's wearing Chisato's clothes. He explains that he just bought the same outfit, so Tendo lets him go, but he suddenly begs for his brother's life. He promises to do anything if they spare Eiji, but Juzo decides to forgive them, and notes that he'll let them go after Kazuma does a favor for him. Kazuma thanks him for showing them mercy, but he explains that they left a mess in the stadium, and he wonders how they're supposed to cover it up. Tendo knows the brothers aren't normal people, since they have extraordinary abilities, and he thinks Juzo is from the same world as them. Juzo tells Kazuma to make Tendo forget everything that happened, so he brings out his lighter, and notes that Tendo won't remember anything after he closes it. He counts to 3, and puts out the flames to hypnotize Tendo, but it doesn't work, and Tendo tells him to stop being a weirdo. He realizes Tendo is immune to hypnosis, and he can't believe it, since he's never met anyone like him. Juzo realizes he just blew his cover, so he tells Tendo the truth, and thinks his school life is over, since everyone will learn that he's a hitman. But Tendo thinks it's okay for hitmen to come to school, because they need to earn degrees to find a better career path. He thinks they're just taking on missions to make ends meet, and he saw how Kazuma begged for his brother's life, so he knows they are bad people. He promises to keep their identities a secret, but tells them to stop killing people, and Kazuma finds him amusing, since he's just like his brother. They suddenly hear police sirens, so Kazuma tells the others to escape, and promises to take care of everything with his hypnosis. Juzo carries Norin, but realizes she's still in love with him, so he asks Kazuma to undo his hypnosis. But he explains that they don't have time for it, so he promises to do it the next time they meet, and reveals that he and Eiji will transfer to his school. The authorities arrive, and they start to investigate what happened, but Kazuma uses his lighter to hypnotize them. The next day, Juzo returns to school, and he thinks other hitmen will try to target Norin, so he needs to keep an eye on her. But she's still under hypnosis, so he must do whatever it takes to keep her in the friend zone. We see Kazuma watching the news, as the reporter covers the explosion in the stadium, but he explains that nobody knows what caused it, and notes that a wealthy man donated money to cover its repairs. Chisato heads to the school with Tendo, who claims he saved Norin while the kidnappers stopped to play catch, but she finds his story ridiculous. He knows she was worried about him, so he wonders if she has feelings for him, but she explains that she doesn't. Juzo sees Takada and Boba at school, but they wonder why he's on edge, and think it's because he's excited to see Norin. He sees her waiting for him behind the lockers, so he sneaks past her and heads to his classroom. He talks to Ryo, but he suddenly stands up, and reveals that he's angry since Juzo went on a double date with Chisato. He thinks Juzo is on Tendo's side, but Norin suddenly joins them, so Juzo quickly runs off. We see Kota talking to Irie, who laughs when she learns about the double date, but she notes that they should look into what turned Juzo back to his old self. She thinks it's because of something he ate, so she tells Kota to look into everything he put in his mouth, and notes that Jarden may have access to the wasps that stung Juzo, since they also have hitmen that are kids. We see Juzo in the canteen, where he eats ramen as he reads a newspaper, but Norin walks toward him, so he quickly finishes and leaves. He spends the rest of the day avoiding her, but Takada and Boba suddenly approach him and tell him they need to talk. They grab onto him, telling him someone bribed them to take him into custody, and they take him to see Norin. She wonders why he's avoiding her and prepares to tell her she's in love with him, but he suddenly breaks free and runs away. She chases after him, and he can't believe she's catching up, since he's running as fast as he can. He jumps past a group of students, and she realizes she can't get past them, but she refuses to give up, and searches the entire school to look for him. She sees him outside, and he thinks she can't catch him since she's on the second floor, but she takes the volleyball team's banner and uses it as a parachute. She manages to land safely, and tells him to go out with her for real, and he can't believe she's going to such an extreme just to catch him. Everyone wonders if they're having a lover's spat, and he realizes they're attracting attention, so he tells her they should talk in private. They head to the rooftop, where he reminds her they were fake dating to stop boys from hitting on her, but she explains that she has fallen in love for real. He tells her he doesn't feel the same way, so she apologizes for causing trouble, and prepares to take her own life. He tells her to calm down, and pulls her back to safety, but she starts to cry, so he realizes she's nothing like the Norin he knows. He suddenly receives a call from Kazuma, who asks him how it's going, but he wonders what kind of hypnosis Kazuma used on Norin. So he explains that he made her fall deeply in love, since his brother didn't like flighty girls. Juzo wonders when they'll transfer to the school, so he explains that they still need a couple of days to recover from their injuries. But Juzo wants him to get rid of the hypnosis immediately, so he tells Juzo to meet him at an amusement park. We see Juzo and Norin on a train, and we learn that he invited her to go on a date with him so that he can take her to the meeting spot. But she tells him she wants to go to the Cup Noodle Museum, so they decide to check it out. They look around the museum and watch a video about the history of cup ramen, but Juzo notes that they need to get going. She tells him she wants to make instant ramen first, and he agrees to do it since he doesn't want her to be sad, but he wonders if they'll make it to the meeting spot in time. She makes ramen for him, and tells him she wants to express her love through spices, but he doesn't want to eat it since it looks terrible. She pushes him to finish it, so he gobbles it up, but ends up with swollen lips. After that, they head to the amusement park, and Juzo realizes they made it just in time, but she invites him to ride the Ferris wheel. He thinks they don't have time for it, but she starts to cry, so he agrees to go with her. She enjoys the moment and stands up to watch the sunset, but the wind causes their ride to shake and she falls in front of him. She prepares to kiss him, but he freaks out since he doesn't want to do it with an underage girl, but he knows she might take her own life if he turns her down. So he pulls out his pistol and fires a bullet to open the door. She starts to freak out, so he tells her everything will be okay, and we learn that he made his bullet ricochet to break the lock, so that she'll be too scared to do anything until they get down. She manages to get off safely, but we see Kazuma waiting for them, and he uses his lighter to undo the hypnosis. She goes to sleep, and reveals that he also removed Juzo's hypnosis, since he knows he can't beat him anyway, and he leaves with his brother. At night, Norin wakes up, and Juzo tells her it's time to go home. She wonders how she ended up there, and reveals that she can't remember anything, but Juzo wants to test if she's back to normal. He asks her if she's into him, so she tells him she only likes him as a friend, but he cries tears of joy, so she thinks there's something wrong with him. Juzo's teacher announces that Eiji has transferred to their class, and everyone finds him strange, but Takada notes that he's her type. Kazuma joins Chisato's class, and Juzo calls the hitmen to the rooftop, since he's worried that they might cause trouble. He notes that they should all get along, and begs them not to cause trouble, so he tells them that they aren't there to kill anyone, but Shin notes that he doesn't like the brothers, because Kazuma stole his target years ago. Kazuma explains that he took out the target since Shin was too slow, so he becomes angry and charges in, but Eiji gets in his way. Kazuma tells him not to get involved, since the fight is between him and Shin, but Juzo tells them to stop fighting. Shin explains that he's disappointed in Juzo, and thinks he isn't strong enough to protect Norin, since he let her get kidnapped. Shin decides to protect her himself, but she suddenly interrupts them, so they decide to end their meeting. After that, Norin realizes her shoes are gone, so Shin reveals that he warmed them up for her. He suddenly sees something approaching, and catches it before it can reach her, but it turns out to be just a beetle. He follows her as she walks home, and tells her he wants to protect her at all times, so he'll never leave her side. She doesn't want him to keep following her around, so she tells Juzo to stop him, but he explains that Shin is doing it since he couldn't protect her. We meet a girl named Mei, who bumps into a boy, and he explains that he couldn't see her since she's too small. We learn that she's a second year in the home economics club, but we never noticed her, since she was just an extra all this time. Everyone treats her like a cute little girl because of her size, but she doesn't want them to look down on her, so she tells Juzo she wants to get ripped. She explains that she'll never grow taller, so she wants to get wider instead, and become a mass monster so that everyone will respect her. She begs Juzo to introduce her to Tendo, because she thinks he can give her training advice, so Juzo takes her to meet him. She tells him about her goal to become an absolute unit, but he tells her it's pointless, since getting bigger won't change anything. He explains that even if she gains muscle, he'd still be able to defeat her in one hit, so she cries as she runs away. Juzo sees her on the rooftop, and he tries to cheer her up, but she thinks she'll spend the rest of her life being treated like an animal, so he tells her he knows someone who can help her. He takes her to Jabami, but she freaks out when she sees her, since she's even bigger than Tendo. She invites them into her bar, where she tells her it's okay to be tiny and cute, and she admits that she can't understand how she feels, since she beats up the people who look down on her. Mei wishes she could be like her, but Jabami reveals that she's jealous of her, since she has something she doesn't have, and notes that she'd rather be a cute girl instead of being huge and invincible. A couple of men suddenly join them, but Juzo realizes they're already drunk, and they start to bully Mei. But Jabami starts to choke one of them, and threatens to kill him if he keeps bothering her, while Dakota tells Mei and Juzo to leave, since they need to deal with their customers. The next day, Chisato scolds Juzo for taking Mei to the bar, but she explains that she had fun. She thanks him for taking her there, since she learned something important, but she tells him she won't stop working out. After that, the Home Economics Club decides to hold a ramen-making challenge, and Norin is excited, since she knows she has the advantage. Chisato divides the participants into 4 teams, and notes that the presentation is a week away, but Shin suddenly talks to Norin, and tells her he'll beat her with his Chinese ramen. She explains that Japan's version is better, so they start to argue, and they both agree to have a showdown on contest day. Norin and Juzo taste different kinds of ramen, and she notes that they should head to the next shop, but he's already stuffed because of all the food he ate. He tells her he needs to rest, so she decides to go alone, and he wonders how she can still move. As he takes a break, he sees a girl crossing the road, but realizes Truck-kun is about to fetch her, and he saves her just in time. She thanks him for saving her life, but he suddenly feels like he's about to throw up, so he quickly runs off. On the day of the contest, Mei introduces the girl as the judge, and Shin shows her his ramen, a local dish from a province in China. He explains that he made the noodles wider to make his dish stand out, but her chopsticks break as she tries to eat it, and she notes that she can't enjoy it since the noodles are too heavy. He ends up with 0 points, so Norin laughs at him, and reveals that she tasted different kinds of ramen to come up with the ultimate recipe. She shows everyone the food she made, but the girl freaks out when she sees it, since it looks like a chimera. She's too afraid to eat it, so Norin also gets 0 points, and Chisato's team ends up winning the game. She thanks the girl for judging the contest, and she notes that she had fun, but tells Juzo she wants to talk to him. She suddenly falls asleep, which makes everyone confused, but her body transforms before their eyes, and her alter ego takes over. We learn that she's a unicorn named Mai, and her skills in marine sports are unrivaled, which is why everyone calls her the Mermaid Queen. She reveals that she came to challenge Juzo to a duel, but everyone wonders what will happen if he loses, since she can't become Norin's boyfriend. She explains that she read the guidelines, so she knows that if she wins, Juzo will no longer be Norin's boyfriend, and the other boys can fight over her to fill the vacancy. Norin wonders why she wants to fight him, since she would gain nothing by defeating him, so she explains that it's just her way to start a conversation, and notes that she doesn't really care what happens. She knows he's amazing, since she saw how he saved her other self the other day, but she suddenly kisses him on the cheek, and notes that she has fallen for him. He realizes she wants to defeat him so that he'll break up with Norin, so he explains that he won't date her even if he's single, and apologizes for hurting her feelings. But it only makes her like him even more, and she notes that she'll keep coming for him until he falls for her. Norin reminds her he's still her boyfriend, but Mai explains that she doesn't care, since she thinks she can steal him by showing him she's better. Norin challenges Mai to fight her instead, and notes that she'll prove her superiority, so that Mai will stop bothering him. She accepts the challenge, but notes that she still needs to fight Juzo, so it will be a 2-on-1 match. She notes that the game is surfing and promises to send the details, and she tells Juzo to be ready for her. After that, Shino asks Norin and Juzo if they know how to surf, but they admit that they're completely clueless. Their seniors come up with a plan, and Chisato explains that they're about to have a long weekend because of their school's anniversary, so they should have a beach training camp to prepare for the duel. At night, Juzo shows Kota a letter, which is about a parent-teacher conference, and he notes that he needs someone to act as his parent. Kota comes up with a plan, and tells Juzo to leave it to him, since he knows exactly what to do. The next day, Shin tells Juzo he's waiting for Norin's mother, so that he can introduce himself as her future husband, but Juzo reminds him he isn't even her boyfriend. He hides inside the ceiling, and Juzo sees Eiji, who reveals that he's waiting for his brother. Takada sees him, and she asks Juzo if they're friends, so he explains that they played golf the other day. Eiji uses his notebook to talk to her, and she finds his drawings cute, so she tells him to draw a cat for her. He draws one with incredible speed, and she tells him it looks great, but his brother tells him it's time to go. Juzo thinks Kota will ask Irie to play as his parent, but Kota suddenly arrives disguised as a woman, and he pretends to be his mother. He thanks Takada and Boba for looking after Juzo, who thinks his plan is ridiculous, but he tells him to respect his mother. They head to his classroom, where Kota asks the teacher how Juzo is doing, so he explains that Juzo is a good student, but often behaves like an old man. After the meeting, they see Norin with her mother, who knows that Juzo has been taking care of her daughter. Kota starts to talk to her, while Juzo realizes she's more normal than he expected, but Norin thinks he looks nothing like his mother. After that, Juzo praises Kota for his performance, but tells him to go home, since he needs time alone. He heads to the rooftop, where he recalls how the teacher told Kota to prepare him for the future, but he thinks it doesn't matter since he's actually an old man. He knows that his friends have dreams, and thinks they'll be able to achieve them since they're still young, but he isn't as fortunate, so he can't stand to look at them. Chisato suddenly joins him, and reveals that her teacher also told her to think about her future, so she came up to reflect on what she wants. He wonders if she'll go to culinary school, but she explains that she isn't interested, and notes that she likes cooking, but she doesn't want to become a chef. She thinks it's too early to decide what she wants to become, since she'll have more options as she grows, so she'll just go with the flow for now. Juzo recalls that he's only been studying for fun, and he knows he'll just return to being a hitman when he returns to his adult form, but he wonders if things will change if he sets a goal and works toward it. He wants to have a future where he doesn't have to kill people, but he suddenly starts to cry, so Chisato wonders what's wrong with him. Norin suddenly joins them, and Chisato tells her to take the training camp seriously, so that they can defeat Mai. Juzo doesn't know if he'll ever return to normal, but he thinks there's no point thinking about it, and decides to just enjoy his life as a student. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.